Hello, Americans. iBankerU. Stand by for news. August 29th, 2005. Not that long ago. Many have already forgotten, but close your eyes for a second. Concentrate. Imagine you are really there. Many who lived through it can still vividly recall. New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina has landed. Its after effects are happening in real time. The water rising on your living room floor is cold. Not swimming pool cold. Icy cold. And it's filthy, black, oily, carrying gasoline, chemicals, sewage, and everything else that once belonged to a city. It reaches past your ankles, then your knees, then your waist. You pick up your daughter with one arm because the current is getting stronger. Your wife is dragging a plastic tote behind her. Inside are photo albums, a change of clothes, a bottle of water, and your father's pistol. Everything else, your home, your memories, your life, is disappearing beneath the water. The power died hours ago. Your cell phone has one bar, and then none. You dial 911 anyway. Nothing. No ringing, no operator, no reassurance that help is on the way, just silence. That silence tells you something your brain refuses to accept. You are on your own. You climb into the attic. The water follows. You take an axe and begin chopping through your own roof, not because you are remodeling, but because if you don't, your family dies in your attic. Outside, the city no longer sounds like America. Helicopters thump overhead. People scream from the rooftops. Dogs bark until they can't anymore. Car alarms echo through the neighborhoods where no one is left to turn them off. Somewhere in the distance, gunshots. One, then another, then several more. No one knows who's shooting. No one knows who's winning. No one knows if the next boat coming down the street belongs to rescuers or predators. Hours become days and food runs out. Water runs out. Medicine runs out. And hope begins to run out. Thousands make their way to the Superdome believing it will be a sanctuary. But instead, the lights fail, the air conditioning dies, bathrooms overflow, and the smell of human waste hangs in the air so heavily that people wrap shirts around their faces just to breathe. Babies cry through the night. Elderly people collapse from exhaustion. Rumors spread faster than facts. Someone says buses are coming, but they don't. Someone else says food is arriving, but it does not. Somebody says security has everything under control. It sure doesn't feel that way, though. Next come the hushed, worried tones and the finger pointing. I heard those thugs over there robbed so-and-so. Did awful things to that teenage girl we saw crying against the wall earlier today. And so on. There were documented robberies, documented assaults. People slept in shifts because somebody had to stay awake, not because they expected comfort, but because they feared becoming victims while they slept. Across parts of the city, stores were emptied, looted of course. Pharmacies were picked clean. Firearms stolen. Some stole because they believed it was the only way to survive. Others stole because they knew nobody was coming to stop them. Police officers performed extraordinary rescues. At least those officers who still chose to work and not stay back to protect their families. But if you were a police officer, and I mean really, what would you do? Officers, were simply overwhelmed. And can anything prepare you? I mean, truly and honestly prepare you for a moment like this, police officer or not? Communications collapsed. Command fractured. Entire areas went hours or longer without an effective law enforcement presence. For ordinary families trapped in flooded neighborhoods, it didn't matter why. What mattered was this. When they looked down the street, No patrol car came. Imagine that. Really think about it. You wake up tomorrow, no police, no 911, no ambulance coming, no grocery stores, no electricity, no rule of law. Your neighborhood isn't protected by the government anymore. It's protected by whoever is willing and able to protect it. It isn't fiction. It happened in America, in New Orleans. And it can happen again. Because Hurricane Katrina was not just a natural disaster. It was a stress test of civilization itself. And for thousands of ordinary people, the greatest danger was not the wind or the flood. It was what happened afterward. Before Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans was already a city under pressure. Crime rates were among the highest in America. Large portions of the city lived below the poverty line. Corruption had long been associated with local politics. Yet life carried on. Restaurants were full. Jazz echoed through the French Quarter. Tourists filled Bourbon Street, and light stayed on. Most people believed the institutions around them would always function. Then, on August 29, 2005, Katrina arrived. The storm itself was devastating, but the catastrophe came when the levees failed. Entire neighborhoods disappeared beneath water. Hundreds of thousands fled. Families were separated overnight. Communications collapsed. Fuel vanished. Food disappeared. Hospitals became islands surrounded by floodwater. And then something even more important failed: authority. The New Orleans Police Department didn't simply become overwhelmed. It began to disintegrate. Many officers stayed and performed extraordinary acts of courage, and that should be noted. Some rescued families for days without sleep. Others remained at their posts while their own homes were underwater. But many others simply disappeared. Some evacuated with their families. Some resigned. Some never reported for duty. Some officers were later arrested for looting themselves. The department lost vehicles, communications, command structure, and the ability to respond across much of the city. The badge still existed. The system behind it did not. When law enforcement fractures, criminals notice first. Stores were stripped bare. Gun shops were looted. Pharmacies emptied. Electronics vanished. Entire shopping centers were picked clean. Some people stole diapers and bottled water to survive. Others stole televisions, jewelry, liquor, and luxury goods. The line between desperation and opportunism quickly disappeared. Home invasions increased, carjackings occurred, armed gangs appeared in some neighborhoods. People trapped inside homes faced impossible decisions. Do you stay? Do you flee? Do you defend what little you have left? For many, calling 911 meant hearing nothing at all. There simply was not anyone coming. Perhaps the most haunting image was the Superdome. It had been promoted as a shelter of last resort. Instead, tens of thousands found themselves packed inside with inadequate sanitation, limited food, rising tensions, and almost no certainty about what would happen next. Rumors spread faster than facts. Some reports of widespread violence were later shown to be exaggerated. Perhaps. Others proved horrifying real, for certain. Sexual assaults occurred. Armed robberies occurred. Violence inside and around shelters did occur. Whether every rumor was true became almost irrelevant. Fear itself became a weapon because nobody knew what information to trust. That may be one of Hurricane Katrina's greatest lessons. In a true disaster, information becomes as valuable as food. So, what should we learn? First, leave early. The most dangerous place during a disaster is often the place everyone tries to leave at the same time. Waiting until authorities order evacuation may already prove to be too late. Traffic becomes parking lots. Fuel disappears. Bridges close. You want to be moving while everybody else is still debating. Second, keep your vehicle ready. Never let your fuel tank drop below half. Maintain emergency cash. Carry maps that do not depend on your phone. Store water, food, flashlights, batteries, first aid supplies, medications, and extra clothing before you even need them. Preparedness always looks excessive until the day it becomes insufficient. Third, your neighbors matter. During Katrina, some neighborhoods survived because residents organized together. They shared generators, checked on elderly neighbors, protected homes, shared information. Meanwhile, isolated individuals became easier targets. Know your neighbors before the emergency, not during it. Fourth, don't advertise what you have. If your home becomes the only brightly lit house with a loud generator and the smell of cooking food, the expensive equipment visible from the street, well, you've announced that you possess resources others desperately want. Operational security is not paranoia, it is survival. Fifth, expect communications to fail. Cell towers fail. Internet fails. Power fails. Have predetermined meeting places for family members. Know where everybody will go if phones become useless. A simple written plan can outperform the most sophisticated smartphone. Sixth, cash is king. Credit cards require electricity. ATMs require networks. Digital wallets require functioning infrastructure. When systems fail, physical cash becomes the only universally accepted medium of exchange. Finally, understand a difficult truth. Government response, even when well-intentioned, has limits. Emergency services are designed for normal emergencies, not for hundreds of thousands of simultaneous victims. That does not mean government is your enemy. It just means the government cannot be your entire plan. Ultimately, your first responder is you. Your backup plan is your preparation. Your greatest asset is good judgment before panic begins. Most Americans assume civilization is permanent. Katrina proves something different. Civilization is not a building. It is not a police department. It is not a government office. Civilization is a network of millions of people choosing every day to follow rules and keep society functioning. When enough links in that chain break at once, order does not disappear gradually. It disappears frighteningly fast. The people who survived Katrina best were not necessarily the strongest. They were not the richest. They were the people who accepted one simple reality before everybody else did. Hope is not a plan. Preparation is. Because someday, somewhere, another city will discover that the difference between safety and chaos is measured not in miles, but in hours. People who had already lost everything suddenly feared losing something even greater, their security. Perhaps the greatest lesson Katrina wasn't taught about hurricanes. It was about human nature. When systems fail, people don't all move in the same direction. Some become heroes, some become neighbors, some become predators. The challenge is knowing which is which. So, what are some lessons we should learn? First, again, leave before everybody agrees it's time to leave. By the time evacuation becomes obvious, you've already joined millions of people competing for the same roads, the same gasoline, the same hotel rooms, the same chance. Preparation always feels unnecessary until it becomes priceless. Second, never build your emergency plan around the assumption somebody else will save you. I'm going to say that again. Never build your emergency plan around the assumption that somebody else will save you. Emergency responders are remarkable people, but they are not magicians. When hundreds of thousands need help simultaneously, even the very best system reaches its limits. Third, water matters more than food. Food matters more than comfort. Medicine matters more than entertainment. And information, reliable information, may become the most valuable resource of all. Own a battery-powered radio, have paper maps, know multiple evacuation routes. Technology is wonderful until it isn't. Fourth, know your neighbors before you need them. During Katrina, entire blocks survived because ordinary people became extraordinary together. They shared generators, shared tools, shared watch schedules, shared hope. Communities survive what individuals cannot. Fifth, keep a low profile. The loudest generator, the brightest lights, the fullest pantry can become invitations instead of advantages. Preparation should make you safer, not more visible. And finally, remember this. Civilization is not guaranteed. It is maintained every single day by millions of people keeping promises to other people they will never meet. Driving on the correct side of the road, showing up for work, respecting laws, helping strangers, trusting institutions, most days we barely notice, until one day we notice nothing else. Katrina was not merely a hurricane, it was a warning, a reminder that modern life is more fragile than modern people often believe. You don't prepare because disaster is certain, you prepare because history says it is possible. And when the next crisis arrives, whether it is a hurricane, an earthquake, a cyber attack, or something none of us sees coming, the most valuable thing you own won't be your television or your bank account or even your house. It will be your judgment, your preparation, your ability to remain calm while others surrender to panic. Because in the end, survival rarely belongs to the strongest. It belongs to those who quietly prepared while everybody else assumed somebody else would. Build that stack. iBankerU. Good day.